Hello and welcome to our cellular health coaching introductory meeting. I call it the Meet CHC introduction. This is an introductory meeting to help people understand the CHC program, which is cellular health coaching program, what it's all about, why we might be interested in it, the purpose for it, and so forth. I'm very grateful that you spent your valuable time with me this morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are in the world at this time. And I'm very grateful also for the response that we've had toward this coaching program so far. We'll be learning about this a little bit today. But I wanted to talk about you for a minute. Every person in the world, all of us, have a dream of some sort. That dream is the thing that motivates us, that gives us the desires to carry on and to do and to act. And as we start understanding how potential, how potent, how strong a dream can be in order to help us to reach our great potential, I start to understand, that the ability to be able to reach optimal health, if we desire such things, which is very important, or the goals within our life, is something that is important to understand as well. So there are certain true principles. These principles have been taught by many great masters, both in the scientific world and outside of the scientific world for many, many years. And this course then is going to be an exposition of many of these areas of interest. For me, for example, my dream is to be able to light the fire in the eyes of a young person who might be learning physics or something new, and to let them understand how interesting these things are that we're finding out in science. The emerging science is incredible. We're seeing hundreds of different papers published every day involving some years of work, scientific work on different aspects of cellular biology. So we are learning so much about what makes us up. We're made out of some 70 to 100 trillion cells. 100 trillion cells, that means we have 1 billion cells just in the tip of our finger. That's a large community of cells. When we have these dreams, all of our cells are affected. We can feel that as an emotion, a joyfulness, a happiness, gratitude, feeling fortunate, feeling complete, and feeling alive. And as we start to understand that these are the things that actually motivate us to achieve our dreams, no matter what they are and what we wish to obtain. I'm Gary Samuelson, atomic physics PhD, and my wife is Iris Samuelson. She's been involved with children for many years. And it's always been my dream to be able to find the solutions to some of the greatest world's health problems. And I love nanotechnology. That was my first passion. We were developing and are developing now. I'm continuing on with this research now. Nanoparticles that can eliminate viruses, they can adhere to, and disable viruses, kill bacteria, fungus, and parasites without causing any harm. And then also was sidetracked for a little while in researching redox signaling molecules that are innate molecules inside of us that carry on the signaling network that causes us to have natural healing. And then as I started to realize that these technologies can be of such great benefit if everyone has access to them, we started collaboration systems that brought together like-minded scientists and people that had technologies that were working and effective. And so this has been what I have done. Now I'm interested in being able to tell people what cellular health is all about, and then start a coaching program that will carry this information throughout the whole world. Not only the information, but as we'll see in a minute, we also want to be able to set up a coaching organization that has great integrity and that can grow. One person can't do it all, and that's what I've learned. However, let's focus in now a little bit on the science. We are composed, I said, of about 50 to 100 trillion cells, about 70 trillion on the average. And all these cells have needs. They're machines. They need oxygen, they need nutrients and water in order to be able to function. All of the micronutrients and all the micro machines that are inside us serve a function. Oxygen, obviously, serves a function inside of our cells. The water with the electrolytes and signals that are passed between all of these cells inside of our body have an incredible influence on our health and who we are. So understanding just the very basic and simple principles that allow a cell to function also help us to understand how we can have optimal health, how we can program ourselves. In the middle of a cell is what I think of as a cell phone. They're the genes, they're the instructions, the applications, if you will, on the cell phones that allow the cells to carry out their different functions and life activities. And there's a lot of these applications. We have some more than 20,000 genes or applications that we can run inside of our cell. But the question has been of late in science, well, who pushes the buttons on our cell phones? Who activates the genes? You know, and we're starting to understand that outside signals that come from our environment and other things and from the communication networks between our cells are the things that push the genetic buttons that allow our cells to function and fix themselves. And so it's a field of epigenetics, if you want to, go that far, which says that we are programmed. We have certain programs inside, but the buttons that are pushed by outside forces. So we can activate our genes from many different sources. They're not static. Anytime that we feel a breeze on our face, anytime we blink an eye, anytime that we see something that is beautiful, it causes changes. These patterns that enter our eyes, the sensations that enter our body, they cause changes in the environment and the cellular environments and start to push the different buttons in our cells. They start the hormones, the feel-good hormones, if we've seen something that's beautiful and that touches us. And these hormones and these genes can affect all of the cells in our body. And so we can program our genes. And how can we do that? And this part of the cellular health coaching, obviously, is to show us how we can affect these changes. As if we're going to look at the cell as a house, then we'll get a really good idea of how our cells actually work. Just like our cells, houses have inside them certain devices, like this fireplace here, for example, that gives heat and energy to the occupants of the house. There's also devices, plumbing, appliances, and all of those things, which have specific functions to help us carry on the activities of life. The same thing is true for our cells. Inside our cells, there are little protected houses, if you will, that are active. And we can learn how these things work. It's fascinating. Cells, just like our community of houses, or in our communities, our houses in our communities, are organized into communities. themselves. These houses, of course, are organized along streets so that we can get supplies that we need and the communications we need from the outside world, as well as the cells, which are organized along blood vessels, receive the supplies that they need and the communications they need. And all of these cells then have, as I mentioned, cell phones, which are constantly sending messages one to another. As we start to understand how our cell phones work, then the messages that they receive, we can affect greatly and powerfully the systems of health inside of our body, as well as inside of our communities. There, for example, are networks of signals that happen when, say, a bacterial infection or a viral infection comes, and or we get toxic materials that enter into our body. These things are very common. They happen all the time. They send signals from our cells to the rest that something is wrong. They use their cell phones. And most often it calls in the immune system, which are represented by these tanks here, which get rid of the threats, and then the genetic buttons that will either fix the cells, or if the cell can't be fixed for some reason, will be destroyed and then replaced by healthy neighboring cells. These mechanisms are the ones that cause the tissue to be replaced and health to be restored. As we call it, healing on a cellular level. And if we can affect healing, and if we can keep each of these cells in our body functioning wonderfully, then we have health. And so the question is, how do we do that? Well, we start very simple things. Cells need water and electrolytes. And then we look into some of the great giants in the areas of nutrition, because we understand that cells also need nutrients. And Bruce Ames, will be studying a little bit of him in the course. He has, as well as the rest of the scientists, have identified about 40 micronutrients, which are the cell nutrients, that are obtained from our foods and digested, and then they enter our bloodstream, and they are supplied to our cells. These micronutrients then, there are only about 40 of them, are essential building blocks and materials that our cells need in order to be able to survive. So we start to study a little bit what kind of micronutrients are needed by the cell, and easy ways to be able to identify them in our foods, so we know which foods to eat. And actually, it doesn't matter too much. We're starting to understand what kind of diet you have, high fat, low fat, etc., if you're not receiving enough of these micronutrients. So that the most important thing is to get a good supply, a good balanced supply of these micronutrients in your body. And these compose then, along with sleep and exercise and respiration, the laws of physical health. We would not be able to live without water, nutrition, exercise, sleep, and respiration. Those are the very basics. And we look at them on a cellular level. We also look at them on a system level. What kind of systems in our body are affected when we have good nutrition? What kind of nutrients do our systems need, etc. Having the knowledge of this sort of thing gives us the power to activate into our cells toward healing and good health. This is a very important aspect. And we see some here, you know, there's the vitamins, the humic and fulvic acid that comes from soils, and then the minerals that our body needs, oxygen, sleep, and exercise, and water. And guess what? That is about it. If the body has all of these elements in it, it can take care of itself 99.999% of the time. If it doesn't, then we start to see sickness and weakness and other problems creep in. The most interesting aspect, however, about these cells is they're all connected in a network. They talk to each other. Our brains and our minds are connected networks of cells, and they send signals. The mind has such a great influence on the body that it's been studied for over 300 years. We've heard of the placebo effect and how powerful the mind is in being able to affect this healing process that we have been talking about in our cells. It can touch the genetic buttons. We can change our genes by our beliefs and our attitudes. Fascinating sort of a thing. We can also change our beliefs and attitudes by learning new things. Knowledge is power. And then we start to understand that we have a choice about what we believe. If we believe true principles, that gives us the power to affect much greater things in our life. We also understand principles such as balance, which is really at the crux of life. Everyone that's living has to exhibit balance, whether it be chemical balance, emotional balance, or even physical balance when we're standing up, are all parts of being restoring balance and such, all parts of our living organism. In fact, central parts. And then all of this leads toward action. All of this motivates action. And this is really exciting because now, more than just the physical attributes, there are emotional and mental attitudes or attributes that when we learn them can give us great power to affect ourselves. In fact, our blood circulation, our hormonal releases, the immune defense that we've been talking about briefly, nerve stimulations, energy production, the movement of signals throughout our whole body, even the expression of the DNA or pushing the genetic buttons is moderated by our mind. Our mind is in control of all this and has control over all of these things. Our beliefs determine our biochemistry in a very real way. So these also are things that we study. We look at great people that have been able to achieve incredible things. This is Jim Quick. I love this guy. He's exciting to listen to. He's always interesting. And the reason that he's that way is because he has learned through a learning disability in his youth, actually, that caused him that he could not learn. He has learned that the most important aspect of learning is emotion. How we feel about what we learn and what we're feeling about what we're learning. And so he can stand up in front of thousands of people in large seminars, memorize everyone's name, memorize phone books and things that are just incredible. And the way he says he does it is he says, well, we have to forget what we know now, forget all of the things that we think we know, and then develop this attitude of being fascinated. Everything is new and exciting, and it creates this mental state for learning. And then when we've learned something, we teach it. And that we teach what becomes our thing, what makes us excited about something. And guess what? That actually allows us to learn. It pushes the genetic buttons that allows us to remember. And it all has to do with emotion. So Jim Quick is someone that we study, and some of his ideas we study also. We also look into a universal principle of life, and that I believe is probably the most important gift that we've been given as human beings on Earth, and that is the gift of choice. We start to realize that no matter how many technologies I developed and the way that we tried to distribute them throughout the world so that they could be beneficial to people, it didn't matter, because people's health, optimal health, was a personal choice. They had to decide what they wanted to do. And when they realized that they had a decision, that they had an option, and you choose well, then optimal health becomes as a matter of choice. And we can do this. And it's very sad to me that many people in this world right now are very frustrated, don't believe they have choices, don't believe that they can grow and have health. Often it just is a realization that freedom comes, freedom from illness, freedom from problems, freedom from almost anything comes when we make a choice. And so I realized then that this coaching program has more potential to help people to obtain their dreams and their optimal health than any emerging technologies will ever have. And that excited me. And you know, what do we choose in life? Well, I believe we choose what we really care about. And I put this picture up here. I don't really care about jumping through people's legs and then dunking a basketball in a hoop. But there are people that do care about that, and they've made it a reality in their lives. I do care about relationships between people and families and communities, and I think there is incredible strength in this. And so I've chosen. I've made the choices in my life that allowed me to have these things, and it's wonderful. You can choose also to experience almost anything you want in life, anything that you care about, and make that a reality. And that is what we start to understand. When you see people understand or realize that they can choose, that they have the ability to do in life what they wish to do, it's an amazing thing. We call it a transformation in the coaching world. Talking about the coaching world, all of the things that have been said in the coaching world really revolve around this thing. Tony Robbins, a wonderful man, and I love him. He's done such great work with people, and the work that he does is he says that basically you choose. Confidence is a matter of choice. You're not lazy. You're just not inspired. You have unimportant goals. And when you have goals that are important to you, then you choose. And you choose something that you say, I just got to do that. And you find then you generate massive action, as he calls it, in order to be able to achieve what you want. But these principles are true. The principles then of choice are so very true. And we learn these principles. We have also the 5 laws of mental and emotional health. We learn how to program our subconscious mind. We learn how to make choices and then to avoid the mental blocks or to remove the mental blocks. And there are wonderful techniques in order to be able to do this. And so all of these things are incorporated into our coaching program, but all of our students do not stand alone. All of our students are assigned an assistant coach and a coach. And these coaches are there, and they've been taught to reveal the greatness and power that resides inside each one of us, to add real value to our lives, to practice full integrity, and to listen deeply to us. And observe with the heart, forget what they know, turn off their judgments, ask powerful questions, be curious, be authentic, touch hearts. And that sort of environment is the environment that creates real progress. Real progress, in this case, in health. So these are the principles of coaching that we also teach. So now you've experienced a little bit, just a little taste of what we go through in the cellular health coaching program. And to understand, you know, that when we are able to do these things, then our dreams become important. They become bigger than the obstacles that we have to overcome in order to achieve them. When our dreams become so big that it doesn't matter what we have to do in order to be able to achieve them, then there's nothing that stands in our way, and we motivate our actions. And when we have this motivation, we are empowered. That's the whole end of this program. We have, as far as instruction, everything is online. We have 32 online sessions. These sessions are taught by myself in this inaugural course. And now I'm preparing also professional videos when we start to get bigger that our coaches will be able to use in lieu of a live instruction. But for now, you're going to have to put up with me giving the presentations in person. The first 8 sessions are science-based instructions on the laws of physical health. We talked a little bit about that, and how cardiovascular, nervous, digestive, endocrine, muscular, it's all these systems, how they work together and what kind of things that they need in order to do so. Intermediate segment then starts to go into the mental and emotional health that we need. Science-based instruction on health coach training, tools to remove barriers, as I mentioned. And then in the advanced segment, we start to go into strategy. Now, I've sat at the feet of great masters in strategy and have learned the principles that we need to understand in order to know where we are right now in terms of our health, let's say, and where we want to go, where we want to be. What do we see in ourselves? What's our vision of us in 2 years, 3 years? And then to be able to know the strategic plans that corporations use and that the organizations that have success use in order to be able to map our way from where we are now to where we want to be, and then put the keys in the ignition and drive along that route. And with 100% probability, if we can envision this and we know how to get there, we will arrive. Unless we have, of course, unless we give up or we have global tragedies or something else. But almost with 100% probability, we can achieve these things. Forget about it. So these planning tools are part of the course. We get accountability partners that help us to keep on track. And then at the end of the course, we have certification. Now, all of this is with just one price. The coaching, the assistant coach, the instructional sessions, and the assignments, the tests, the homework, and the certifications are all the same price. Since we had to make this into a business in order to make it work. But what I've done is I've put the price about as low as I can to keep everything going. And then I have given most of this to the coaches to keep propagating the system throughout the world. And if you wish, well, we'll talk a little bit about this, but if you wish, at the end, you can be certified to become an assistant coach or a coach in our system also. We'll talk about that when you get there. So real quick synopsis. Our instructions involve basic segments, which are hydration, nutrition, exercise, sleep, and respiration. Very simple. We go into everything on the cellular level. 5 laws of emotional and mental health: belief and attitude, learning, choice, balance, and action. Those are the 5 laws of mental and emotional health. We discuss those and then implement them. We also then discuss the 5 laws of coaching. What we'd like to do at the end of the day is, inside of ourselves, create a person that wants to release the power that's inside of us, that wants to be able to show empathy and sincerity and integrity, and in motivating and helping all of us, including ourselves, to achieve the goals that we want as far as our health goes. So we learned to ask powerful questions and to observe with the heart and be curious, as we had mentioned, we learned action strategies. And then we embraced the transformations that happen as these principles are put into play. And this is my vision. When people are on fire, when they want to instruct and coach other people, and maybe a few of those will want to turn around and to coach others, then we can truly affect millions of people on this planet at this time where we truly need this information. We also build tools like habits forming things. For example, this is our goal worksheet that helps us mark our progress with our goals every day. And we're getting better at this too. We're starting applications, computer applications now and such, that make this much easier, and you can do it on your telephone or in your cell phone. So so this is how it is. In our cellular health coaching system, the first thing and most important thing that we have is our students. We do everything to support our student in their progress. So everyone starts as a student. Everyone goes through the cellular health coaching process. And we built then a sure, solid foundation built with science research throughout the world and science-based instruction, online curriculums and materials and resources, information technologies, websites, videos, everything that you need in order to be able to carry on with your coaching program. We call this whole thing the CHC. Now, on top of this platform, we are able to support generational master coaches. These generational master coaches are part of our administrative staff. And what they do is they support our master coaches. And our master coaches then are able to support up to 100 coaches. These coaches then, when the students start coming into the program, are assigned students. So the first thing that'll happen in the CHC program is that as you enroll, you get a professional coach. And that professional coach then will assign you an assistant coach. And now the foundation is complete. Now you have complete and total support. Each assistant then can support up to 10 students. And that is so that you receive the personalized instruction and help that you need in order to succeed with your goals. The statistics and everything involved with this are such that you have a very high probability, very, very high probability of reaching your health goals. When you obtain those goals and your qualifications, then, if you so wish, you can become a certified assistant. And that also requires that you've gone through the course and that you're accepted into the assistant coach program. And then after you've had some time being an assistant coach and experience and qualified, you can become a certified coach in the program. And then you're starting to teach people, your assistant coaches, what you've learned when you're an assistant coach, and etc. And it propagates throughout the system. All right, I'm going to give you a little second to kind of absorb all of that in. What that means is that instead of reaching maybe 10,000 people or just having online educational sessions or such that might be forgotten, we're setting into play a system and a community of people that will be able to carry this forward and plant the seeds in many other hearts and minds. What you get with every session is live instruction, interactive discussions with the people in your groups. You get weekly assignments. You need to be able to do tests and quizzes also to assess, what you learned. And then you have follow-up calls from your personal assistant that are scheduled, and you can get 1, 2, or any number of calls a week that you need from your personal coach in order to be able to help you achieve your goals in this. Well, now, how do we get this? It's very, very simple. You go to any device, to cellularhealthcoaching.com, and on there you'll see a button that says fill out the pre-evaluation form. Pre-evaluation form lets us know what you want out of the cellular health coaching program. We'll then send you a list of courses and placements that allow you to enroll if you wish. If you do, you fill out an enrollment form, and then the tuition. Now we've made the tuition for everything, for qualifications, for everything. There's no fees or anything else than the tuition, which is $950 US, to be able to take this 32 session course. And that's it. That's it. Our fall inaugural course is starting very soon, and September the 14th in 2020. We're getting everything set up for this course. It'll be Monday and Friday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. It's because that's where I am. That's 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And usually about 6 o'clock in the morning Australian time, and then in Europe, it can be up to about 10 o'clock p.m. That's the reason that we chose to, because it's the only time really that straddles for our inaugural course right now, straddles the time zones across the world for most countries that we're dealing with. This time we're going to have the first 24 sessions before the holidays. About December the 7th, we'll take a break, and then we'll come back in January and have the last 8 sessions and the advanced materials, which is really fun. That's the fun stuff. We learn new science also during this period of time. And then the certification and graduation ceremonies. Again, if you want more information, go to cellularhealthcoaching.com. Or you can also go to our email, which is info@cellularhealthcoaching.com, and leave whatever questions, comments, desires, whatever you feel. Even I appreciated this time even comments about our coaching system, so that we can help build a better one as we go along. and I will see those and I'll answer them, as many as I can. So anyway, that is it. Welcome, and thank you for spending the time today. The people that have come into our cellular health coaching program to this point, I feel very fortunate, are the best in the world. They are wonderful people. They inspire me to become better at what I do. And so thank you so very much. This is the end of the presentation. Now we'll turn the time back over to Nicole Davey, and maybe we can have a little tie up here. If you would, Nicole, also mention, I'll mention before here, that the cellular health coaching program in no way diagnoses, prevents disease, okay? This is not the intention. The intention is to empower people to achieve their optimal health. All right, thanks, Nicole.
Thanks very much, Gary. I think if you